Hey, welcome to our /ProRevenge. We're OP, get a racist Redditor, fired from more than one job. I hope you enjoy. Story 1. Call me a race traitor in a PM on Reddit. Let's destroy your life. A few years ago, on a different Reddit account, I mentioned that I was in an interracial relationship. A Redditor reached out to me and told me I was a race traitor and unfaithful to my race. I was like, WTF, bro. I looked at his account. It was 6 years old, which told me his username was likely something he used a lot. So, I started Googling his username at Gmail, username at Yahoo, etc., and I found a match with Hotmail. A guy by the name of, let's say, Jeff was selling some NFL game tickets, and had posted his email. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean it's the same person. However, in the post, he mentioned a city in America, and that he was a fan of a particular football team. I went through the Reddit user post history. He posted quite a bit in the respective city subreddit. He mentioned going to NFL games, and in another post, he also said he was born in Canada. So, through the ad for the NFL ticket, I figured out his real name. I found his biography on his employer's website. He was a senior-level manager, so they had a bio for him. In that bio, they mentioned he was born in Canada, was a fan of said NFL team, and loved living in the city. I also found his LinkedIn page during this time. So, I sent him a connect request on LinkedIn, which he accepted. I figured he would because he had 500 plus connections. So, here's what we know. 1. His username matches his email handle. 2. He likes the NFL team. 3. He lives in a said city that he posts in said city's subreddit. 4. He was born in Canada. I then found his Facebook page. His Facebook page was public, and he posted what I would describe as semi-racist material. Also, his Reddit page was significantly more racist. Based on the numerous connecting factors I determined, so I created a report. I included screenshots and links, and summarized my findings in that report. Now, based on this person's position in his company, he likely had a significant role in deciding who this company employs. Also, his company clearly stated they were an equal opportunity employer. So I called their HR department. I found the number, and I called them, and I asked them, would you be concerned if a senior-level manager in your organization was a proud racist and degraded your equal opportunity employment policies? They were concerned. So, I told them I had done an investigation into one of their senior-level managers, and described he was racist, and I had put together all my evidence and findings in a report, and could email it over to them. I emailed them the report. A few weeks later, I called to get an update, and I was told they appreciated my report. However, they would have to comment on the status of their decision and make public statements in regard. Basically, thanks for letting us know, but we aren't going to tell you shit. That's fine. So, I waited another month, and I kept checking his LinkedIn page. Then one day, I saw a LinkedIn post from him, in which he said he is looking for a new opportunity, and if anyone had any positions open. So, I messaged him on Reddit, and I told him, hey bro, heard you got fired. Just want you to know I'm the reason why. He threatened to find out who I was, hunt me down, rape my spouse, and strangle me to death. So, I reported him to Reddit admins who promptly permanently banned him. Now, he really should have learned his lesson, because guess what? He didn't connect the dots. He didn't know I could see all his LinkedIn activity. He didn't know who I was. he simply acted in rage. So, I put his newest message in his folder and added it the report, because you see I can be an incredibly vindictive motherfucker. I checked his LinkedIn once a week. Good news. He got another job. Bad news. Their HR department was also quite easy to get a hold of, and discuss their new hires' online racist, threatening behavior. However, let's just say I had a lovely conversation with this HR representative. She was a woman, and based on how she sounded, and her name, I suspect she was a woman of color. So yeah? I'm not sure what happened after this, because a few weeks later his internet history was cleaned up, and his LinkedIn page was deleted. However, this company listed their senior management, which was what his position was. I never saw his name listed. What I suspect happened is after his HR reviewed my evidence, they terminated his employment with them. I would have totally gone after him a third time, but he got smart the second time around. Hey, by the way, Jeff, if you see this post, I'd love for you to send me a new message. I really enjoyed the little game I played with you. I also question how did you handle getting fired from 2 jobs, back to back on your resume, and in future job interviews. End of story 1. Now, on to our second story. Story 2. Former manager made my life hell, and I finally got her fired. I was desperate to join a new job after my husband and I were both laid off last year. When I was offered a new role, I knew it would be a step down from what I was doing, but the manager and the team seemed great, and that part has not changed. However, since my manager, Gary, was so busy, he basically offloaded me to another manager, Jane. I was supposed to be the connection point between my team and Jane, but it quickly became Jane micromanaging me. She would ask me to work through lunch, move/cancel vacation days, call at 11 p.m. on weekends, and order me around on phone calls. She also made nasty comments about my weight, and said I was big for my race. The list of personal slights, so long that it filled 3 pages. I would talk back to her, and she did not like that, and that provoked her more. I only stayed because we needed to pay the bills. Finally, I had a mental breakdown on a Friday afternoon, after she yelled at me for something trivial, about scheduling a meeting without including someone from her team, who I didn't know about. I was dealing with a family tragedy, and couldn't take it anymore. I told Gary about the situation with Jane, and he was sympathetic, and not at all surprised, considering half her team quit. He immediately offered to move me to a different team under him. I was thrilled. Well, turns out going to the new team didn't help. Jane continued to order me around from afar. When I ignored her emails, she came to my desk one day and started loudly talking about how I am not qualified for this role. Gary overheard, and finally told her off, but the verbal abuse did not stop. After 2 months there, I abruptly wrote my resignation letter, and stapled the list of Jane's offensive comments, and CC'd everyone. Gary offered a bunch of accommodations to try to keep me, but seeing how she was still provoking from afar, I said the only way for me to stay would be for her to go, and he did not have authority to let her go. Her manager was in a different country, and despite several HR complaints from at least 5 people, nothing was done. So I left, loudly and without shame, telling everyone exactly why I was leaving. Times were very bad for 3 months. There were nights we would eat slices of bread, just so we could pay the mortgage, and emergency expenses from a health crisis, and a funeral. Even after he found a job, we were still catching up on bills, and still are. I spent months applying for 5 to 10 roles per day, sometimes over 20. Last month, I saw a public memo about a big shot from a former company, joining the company I just left. I used to work with this guy closely, and texted him a "Congrats, let me know if you need any insights on the new place." We had a quick call where I told him some ins and outs, where I thought they could innovate. After this call, he asked me to join the team as his chief of staff. I accepted. Imagine Jane's shock when we had our first all-hands call. All the VPs and above were asked to welcome the new Big Shot in a giant conference room. In Big Shot's speech, he breezed over that I'll be his chief of staff, along with a few key names. I now sat 2 levels above Jane, and apparently, within the 3 months I was not there, the other half of her team turned over. Every single person left. Gary was excited for me, and said all nice things. However, Jane took the classless route, and sent Big Shot an email about how I'm an unqualified idiot, that I used to work for her, how I tried to get her fired, and that she suspects I lied to get ahead. She didn't even try to be fake nice. Big Shot forwarded me her email, and asked what this was about. I was so nervous and excited. Little did Jane know, I was a director at Big Shot's competitor company, and was already a level above her, so 2 levels isn't a big leap, and I worked with him for 5 years. I had an hour call with Big Shot, and told him she was bad for the company culture, and was a nasty person in general, but the evidence he needed was Gary confirming that her whole team has turned over, my prior resignation letter which was still sitting on my desktop when I logged in upon return, and a few other nasty emails she sent her recent staff, which they were happy to share with us. Big Shot fired Jane on Friday. End of story 2. There we have it. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have, please do like and subscribe, as it helps me out massively. Have a great day.